I went from producing in my bedroom, no connections, no followers, and no real plan, to writing and producing for the likes of Sony, Universal, Mousetrap, Australian Idol, The Voice, and a bunch more. But the truth is, none of this happened the way you'd expect. In this video, I'm sharing the full story and the exact strategy you can use to shortcut the 6-year detour that I took. I started out like a lot of producers do, as a musician. I went to the Conservatorium of Music, studied performance, but the truth is, I wasn't just playing guitar and recording little bits and pieces here and there anymore. I was building entire tracks and I was absolutely hooked. So that brings us to step one in a much broader strategy that we're going to run through, and that is to get really good at one thing, because it creates leverage for everything else. In this case, that'd be mastering your DAW. Simply knowing that one thing inside and out will give you the foundation that most producers skip. So I met a singer in one of the bands I was playing with. We clicked creatively and even formed a duo. We even got a few tracks featured on Mr. Suicide Sheep and won a Studio's 301 competition. Eventually, an A&R from Sony Music heard us. We signed a major label deal as an artist duo, and we had a team. And it felt like everything was happening. Until it wasn't. The A&R who signed us got let go, and soon after, my collaborator from the project stepped away from music. So without my singer and without label backing, it was just me with a folder full of tracks and no clear path forward. Just like that, I was back to square one. And that brings us to step two. If you want to take advantage of opportunities like this, you need to create, share, and finish tracks consistently, even without a plan. One great track in the right place can change everything. If I hadn't just let that song go and submitted it to Mr. Suicide Sheep, the A&R who signed us may never have heard it, and we wouldn't have experienced all of the cool things that we did when we were signed that. So I didn't stop. I wrote, I produced, and I collaborated. I wasn't chasing deals anymore. I was chasing mastery of the thing that I wanted to pursue, because I knew that the real win wasn't necessarily signing another label deal, it was developing the skill set to give me longevity. And that brings me to step three: the more you do, the better you'll get. Quantity builds quality. Make 50+ tracks before you even judge yourself. Treat every project as a lesson in production, mixing, arrangement, or mastering. Every time you collaborate with someone or sit down to make a beat, if you take away just one new skill and carry it over to your next project, it'll compound over time. So one day, I was just lying on my bed and I was thinking, who have I connected with before? Who do I know? And that's when I really started to put myself out there. Emails, DMs, coffee chats, whatever it took. And eventually I met a manager. So step four, provided that you have the other steps in place at this point, use tools like Instagram and email to your advantage. Simply messaging 5 to 10 artists per day, which works out at around 35 to 70 artists per week. You can only imagine that even if you get the opportunity to work with a small percentage of those artists, it can make a big difference and really build your catalog. And this strategy worked really well for a coaching client of mine, who in the first 3 weeks of applying this strategy, signed his first ever paying client. The key is to be helpful and not desperate. And with that, you'll also want to make sure that you have a bulletproof show reel or portfolio, and we're going to look at that a little more in the next step. So among all of the sessions I was doing as a producer and writer, one led to a session with a signed artist. And honestly, this session went great. My manager and I then agreed to ask their publisher if signing me was a possibility. So I pulled everything together, catalogs, sessions, collabs, and after months of back and forth, I signed my first worldwide publishing deal. And honestly, it didn't take quite as long this time, because I had the track record, sound, and workflow really dialed in. And that brings us to step 5, which is having a bulletproof show reel or portfolio. I recommend always having 4 to 6 of your best tracks ready to go. A private SoundCloud link or similar works really well here, or you could use another type of audio player as long as it's easy to access. It's also a really good idea to keep track of every track you finish. When the time comes, labels and publishers might ask you for a broader catalog. So being organized will just save you that much time later. So for outreach, it's best to keep a small yet flexible playlist of your best work, and you might want to swap out tracks here and there depending on who you're sending it to. So from there, the pace picked up. More sessions and even more placements. I wasn't guessing so much anymore, and I had the structure, clarity, and confidence. Eventually, I signed with one of the best producer managers in the country, Rossian, who sadly passed away at the end of last year. She backed me fully, and together with my publisher, we landed tracks on The Voice, worked with Sony and Universal artists, and we had syncs with Shiseido, Home and Away, Fortnite, and more. So step 6 is about efficiency. You want to learn to finish clean, almost release-ready tracks within 1 to 2 days. The quicker you can get a track to a label after the session, the better it reflects on you and your business. Set up a go-to template and build a repeatable workflow, because professionals don't only sound good, but they have systems in place to allow them to deliver work quickly. And step 7 is to be the producer that shows up, listens, and delivers a mix that hits on the first go. And even if I miss once in a while, that's always my goal, because that's how you get rebooked and recommended by others. So even with all of that, I felt something was missing. Because through all of it, while I had some people there for me at the time, I had to figure it out on my own. No roadmap or feedback, it was just trial and error. And that's exactly why I started coaching, to help other producers skip the confusion, to help you go from stuck to professional without wasting years of your life. So now I divide my time between projects I love and coaching, which honestly feels just as meaningful. Honestly, when I see a producer going from scattered and uncertain to finishing tracks they're proud of and working with artists, that is as good as any placement. If you're serious about your music and you're looking for a simple, streamlined process to make professional tracks and build a career you're proud of, there's a link below to book a call with me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.